and tourism.
Thank you. And I would like to congratulate you on your election and each of every one of the colleagues here on both sides of the aisle for their recent election or re-election to this wonderful, honourable House. Given this is my maiden speech in this historic place, I would like to say what a privilege it is to rise and speak in the heart of our Canadian democracy. I want to thank the many friends and volunteers who are part of my election team. And if it were not for each and every one of them, I would not be here today. They worked tirelessly for me. I also want to thank my family. As so many of my colleagues have noted, it's not possible to do this job without the support of your loved ones. So I want to thank my son David, my 3 sisters, and my 95-year-old mother who watches this every day. They were with me every step of the way and provided the love and encouragement I needed to make it here. However, first, I want to thank the people of the new riding of the Long Range Mountains for placing their trust in me as their first Member of Parliament. The Long Range Mountains is nearly 200 communities scattered all along the western and southwestern part of the beautiful island of Newfoundland. Many of these communities were founded originally as small fishing villages. Their continued sense of community and tradition is a testament to the commitment, the resiliency, and the character of Newfoundlanders throughout our riding. My parents, both native Newfoundlanders, instilled these same ideals of hard work, giving back, and perseverance in me. And I want all my constituents to know I will be a strong, positive voice for them here in this House. Mr. Speaker, it's an honour to rise in the House today in support of our government's throne speech. The priorities it lays out should make all Canadians as proud as it makes me and our government. Each of these commitments will create a positive impact throughout our great country, and especially in my riding. As our Prime Minister has said, there's no relationship more important to Canada than with our Indigenous peoples. The commitment to re-engaging with our Indigenous peoples in a nation-to-nation relationship based on respect, cooperation, and recognition of rights is essential to the Canadian mosaic evolving in the 21st century. As a member for the Long Range Mountains, this is particularly important to me because it will begin anew our dialogue with the Halapu Mi'kmaq First Nations Band. Our government's commitment to transparency and openness is what will hold us to account and give Canadians the faith in government that has been absent for far too long. This is especially relevant in Newfoundland and Labrador, where broken provinces have led to the relationship with federal representatives being at a historic low for far too many years. Nowhere is this felt more clearly than the historic Newfoundland fishery, Mr. Speaker. There is no question that the declines in past years of certain areas of the industry have hurt many, many of my constituents. But when you speak with them, and I have spoken with thousands in the last 14 months, they will tell you what has made the situation even worse was a lack of consultation with local groups and the lack of evidence-based policy. Our government's commitment to open, transparent, and science-based decision-making will mean a new approach to all issues, including fisheries issues. An approach that engages the local communities. It will empower scientists and promote the role of science in the process. And this will allow for a prosperous, stable, and most importantly, a sustainable fishery for generations to come. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure all of my colleagues heard from their constituents about rising housing prices, increasing costs of living, and stagnant wages. Many Canadians are struggling to get by, and that's no different in my riding. That's why I am so proud of our government's plan to grow and sustain the middle class. Moreover, the pledge to nearly double infrastructure spending over the next 10 years will make a significant difference in ridings across the country, especially the rural ridings like the Long Range Mountains. We have an historic opportunity to make an investment in our future if we act now. And together, working with our municipalities, our provincial and territorial partners, we will make a difference. Agriculture is another pillar of the economy in my riding of Long Range Mountains, as it is in many ridings throughout the country. Investments in our crumbling roads and bridges will allow farmers and our fishermen to get their products to market faster and cheaper. It will also provide the resources for our small businesses to compete in global markets. Just as important is broadband access. Throughout the Long Range Mountains and in many rural communities across Canada, there is limited or no access to high-speed internet. Without this access, it is difficult for small businesses to compete. It limits their ability to reach new markets and conduct day-to-day business. It also limits education in communities and reduces the capabilities of our healthcare system. Remote care is quite common, especially in the rural areas for seniors in my province. These investments, Mr. Speaker, are not just an investment in our economy of today. They are an investment in our economy of tomorrow. If we are willing to seize this unique opportunity, we will empower our children to succeed in the future, and hopefully they too will improve our country for the next generation. This idea of investing in our future was present throughout the throne speech. Our government has proposed an ambitious agenda based on a vision of Canada that we all share. It's a vision of economic growth driven by our middle class, of equal opportunity for all our children. It's looking after our seniors and preserving our environment for our next generation. This agenda doesn't make just moral sense, this makes economic sense. Accounting for 80% of all new jobs created across the country, small and medium-sized businesses are the biggest driver of economic growth in Canada. To continue to grow our economy, we must invest in our small businesses and empower them with the resources they need to succeed in an increasingly competitive global economy. As a small business operator in Newfoundland and Labrador, I understand the challenges our small businesses are facing. Today's economy is built on ideas and innovation, and in order to succeed, it's essential for small businesses to have access to a highly skilled workforce. That's why I was very pleased to see the priority of working with territorial and provincial leaders to make post-secondary education more affordable. Whether it is the skilled trades, college, university, post-secondary education is the key to our youth succeeding in today's economy. In the Long Range Mountains, we are lucky to have 3 top-flight post-secondary institutions: Memorial University's Grenfell campus, College of the North America, and Academy Canada. By working to make post-secondary education more affordable, we can ensure our small businesses can harness the talents to build an economy that will be competitive not just today, but for decades to come. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to touch on Memorial University and the Grenfell campus for a minute. The Grenfell campus is located in Corner Brook, was named after Sir Wilfrid Grenfell, a medical missionary on the rugged coast of Newfoundland and Labrador as well. Memorial University itself was founded in honour of the 1,500 Newfoundlander and Labradorian soldiers who died fighting in the First World War. It was named by their mothers. Their mothers wanted to commemorate their sacrifice, and their memories live on in Memorial University. We will always remember our fallen, and we will always be proud of those who choose to serve, just as we all are of our Canadian forces. Mr. Speaker, I was very pleased. The additional support will mean the reopening to the veterans, will mean reopening of the Veterans Affairs offices throughout the country, one of which is in my riding of Corner Brook. These offices are an important source of care and assistance for the hundreds of thousands of veterans across the country. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, as I mentioned before, the throne speech laid out the theme of investing in our future. Perhaps nowhere is this more important than our relationship with our environment. The pledges in the throne speech to tackle climate change and to focus on the growing economy while protecting our environment are a great step forward for all Canadians. We are lucky to be blessed with a beautiful country and an abundance of resources. By caring for both, we will preserve these treasures for the next generation. In my riding of Long Range Mountains, we enjoy 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, Lancel Meadows and Grossmore National Park. Both of these sites and the many other tourism treasures contribute to the growing tourism industry, to our small businesses, and most importantly, to our culture and heritage, which is a tad unique in Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm thrilled our government has placed a priority on protecting our environment. Mr. Speaker, I believe the speech from the throne laid out an ambitious agenda whose vision Canadians share, and I look forward to working with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, delivering them for the constituents of the Long Range Mountains and for all Canadians. And as I'm the last speaker, I guess, for today, I'd like to take this opportunity to say Merry Christmas, have a safe and happy holiday, and we'll see you in the new year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.